Friends, today is Friday, the 24th of July. Once again, taking a look at today's gospel, we've just entered into the 13th chapter of St. Matthew's gospel. It's a new section, a section of parables. And actually, we entered yesterday, if you recall. We had the opening section of the 13th chapter in which the disciples, a little bit irritated, it seems, kind of difficult to know the tone here, but they asked Jesus, why do you teach in parables? Why do you teach in parables? As if they just didn't get it. And Jesus responds in a rather cryptic fashion and says that, well, because there are those who have eyes to see, and ears to hear, and those who do not. Almost like a parable itself, the response of Jesus hides as much as it reveals. And that's what parables do. We never quite get to the bottom of a parable. When we think we have fully understood it, we have to sort of step back a moment and say, no, there's probably more to it than that. And that's the beauty of parables. They tickle our mind. I used that expression yesterday to kind of push us in directions that maybe are new to us. Maybe we don't really want to go in that direction. But pushing those, self-imposed limitations beyond what we're comfortable with. And so the chapter begins with the question about parables, and then it follows with 8 parables of the kingdom, the first of which we have today. You know, there's kind of a game that we Christians play at times, and I suppose others in other religions do as well, about who God loves, whom God loves, I guess I should say, whom God loves. And instead of being expansive in our explanation, oftentimes we show the limits of God's love. Well, God loves this, but doesn't love that. God loves Catholics, but doesn't love Protestants. God loves Christians, but doesn't love Muslims. God loves the baptized, not the unbaptized, and so on and so forth. It's kind of a game we play. Well, the parable that we hear today, in many ways, addresses that kind of inclination in ourselves. The parable of the sower and the seed. The sower being Jesus, and the seed being the word, the preaching of God's kingdom. In fact, all of the parables in this chapter 13, deal with either the acceptance or the rejection of that word preached by Jesus. And today's parable is a good example of that, the sower and the seed that falls on different kinds of ground and how that is received. And it says, first of all, that the seed falls upon ground that is completely unreceptive to the word. What does it say here? It says, one who hears the word without understanding it, and the evil one comes and plucks it away. Probably a reference to the Pharisees and the scribes who hear but do not understand, and willingly do not understand. And secondly, the word that is received, but it has no roots. In fact, it's received with joy. It says, the seed sown on rocky ground, the one who hears the word and receives it with great joy. You know, I think of people who have a kind of conversion experience, and they're just full of the Lord and full of joy. And the first trouble that comes, boom, they fall away. They had no roots, just kind of this sort of external acceptance of the word. And the third, see, let's get to the third here. The seed sown among the thorns, one who hears the word, but then doubts all the worldly anxieties. Pandemic, for example. The first time troubles come, they doubt and fall away. The troubles of the world and the lure of riches, which it says chokes off the word. And finally, the fourth is the word that falls upon good soil, and is received. And it not only bears fruit, but it bears abundant fruit. 160 and 30 times it bears that fruit. Which, of course, when we think about the fact that as the seed is sown, 3/4 of it are not received. 3/4, and only 1/4 is actually received. But that 1/4 is so abundant that it makes up for the loss of all the other seed. Wonderful kind of encouragement to us that despite all, that word will in fact take root. And in relation to my comment earlier about the game we play about who God loves and how we limit that, the parable reminds us that God's love is spread equally everywhere and with everyone. What distinguishes us is the fact of how much it is received and how much that word in love is returned. We all receive the same, but are we receptive? Are we hard ground? Are we rocky soil? Are we thorns? Or are we good soil? And with that good soil abundantly producing fruit. I couldn't help but mention today at Mass a young woman whose wedding is tomorrow, her marriage is tomorrow, and she was in the RCIA in another parish. And as luck would have it, we didn't receive people into the church this Easter. But as luck would have it, her parish was celebrating initiation tomorrow, the day of her wedding, at the same time as her wedding, and thus she cannot be there. And her dream was to celebrate marriage as a Catholic at a nuptial Mass. And she asked me, is there anything we can do? And I said, yes, there is. We can receive you into the church today, Friday, baptism, confirmation today, and tomorrow at your wedding, First Communion. I would have to say that her joy was complete. To be able to celebrate that wedding as a Catholic and to receive the Eucharist with her husband. I think that honeymoon is going to be a very special time for them. Hold that thought, and we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, the Feast of St. James.